Hey, nerds! Well, welcome one and all to my review. What we're going to be doing here is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be taking a look at Garon, but before we begin, we all need a little bit of sensitivity training because let's face it, everyone's going to try to meme this man. So instead, let's all take a very deep breath like so, and then let it all out. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to make at least one joke like that, because come on, it's King Garon, am I right? Okay, alright, let's skip the jokes, let's get into the review. So Garon is coming soon, fairly soon, and with it we need to talk about him. He's going to be your next free unit, and he comes in the form of a red infantry dragonstone user. What? I mean, it could have been an armored axe unit for all I know, but look at those stats! The more I look at Garon, the more I realize that he is very, very similar to a lot of the other dragons that we have right now, which is not a bad thing. It means that he is more enemy phase based in a lot of ways. Look at those stats again, guys. 33 attack, 33 defense, and 32 res. That is a unit that is built to be a pretty phenomenal mixed tank. And then, of course, you have to add in the other things. Let's take a look at his base kit. His weapon is, well, quite a bit of an essay. I will say that IS has been doing this a lot more, but there are a few things to just pick out real quick. First off, Breath of Blight, it neutralizes effective against dragon bonuses, which means Falchions, Nagas, weapons such as these will not affect him. Add in the fact that we also have the normal Dragon Refine, the adaptive damage, and then we have this very odd AoE ability at the start of turn 4 where 3 spaces around Garon, foes will take 10 damage. Not only that, but based on how many foes have been hit by this will also heal Garon based on the amount of foes times 5. And we haven't even talked about Garon's passives, so let's just do that. First, A slot. Distant Defense. Wow, that's actually a really good A skill passive, and something that is at least somewhat rare when it comes to having this affordable to those who may be free to play. So it's nice to have this as an option even if it's hidden behind 5 stars. And his C skill passive? Panic Ploy. Even better. You won't be killing off any more Vaulters right now, at least. I hope you aren't. Are you killing any Vaulters right now? You have to tell me. You're legally bound to tell me. Well, enough about the skill sets. Let's dive into the pros and cons and see where we go from there, huh?
Oh, yes.
Don't ever do that again, Garon. Just don't. Alright, pros and cons. Let's just see what we got. So with pros, I would probably say the obvious. He's a great mixed tank unit. No, really, he is. He has a lot of bulk. He should do exactly what dragons usually do, which is just absorb damage and somehow remain cute. On second thought, forget I said that. He's also a rarer type of unit, which I'm actually happy about. That's why I'm glad he isn't an armored axe unit, because up till this point, there's only been 3 red dragons that have actually been in this whole game, and all 3 of them are Tiki, so I guess I'll take the red creepy dragon. Sure, why not? The last note I would say for pros is he's just a fantastic unit for free-to-play and fodder use. Seriously. He does not need much investment when you get him. You can build him, or you can fodder him. I'm not going to be one to judge. He has a lot of useful abilities. And moving on to cons, we have to discuss the fact that he does not have very good speed, but considering the other stats that he has available to him, it's actually not that big of a hit. We do have to talk about his, well, fact that he's a dragon. Even with his weapon that nullifies Dragon Killer, if you do change it out, he still is at risk from Falchions, Nagas, and everything that you can think of that has a Dragon Killer effect. And to further that along, his weapon is, well, a little niche. It's still quite powerful, it has 16 might. Negating Dragon Killer's cool, but this whole AoE effect with the heal does not seem as reliable as it could be. Namely because a lot of the time I don't even make it to turn 4. And the waiting aspect of it can be quite painful. We also need to give attention to, well, his passives and everything in there. He's built to be a distant counter type of unit. Thankfully, dragons are a little bit easier when it comes to getting distant counter, so using Breath of Blight seems a little bit like nonsense in some ways. It's great for dealing with units that have Dragon Killer, but outside of that, it may be better to change his weapon. And since we're speaking about weapons, I think it's a good enough time to move on to builds. Since I don't have much else to complain about with all of this, let's talk about builds. We're gonna give you a few options in case you don't really have units to spend on him and you're not really too inclined to spend too much on him anyways. So here are 2 cheap builds that you can go with that are simple enough to use. You just put on either Quick Riposte in the B skill slot or Swordbreaker if you can't really afford Quick Riposte. Maybe use Quick Riposte as a seal. If you really want to go insane though, there's a lot of options available to you. Because you see, as a dragon, Garon has options. You know, you don't have to use Breath of Light. You can if you want to. Distant Counter is a very big portion of a lot of dragons' builds because of the adaptive damage that they entail. This might come with a little bit of a downfall. Lightning Breath does require at least a refinement to get the adaptive damage, but with it you do get additional stats. You're going to get more health, and depending on which stat you roll into, I would say defense or res, you're going to have a lot more going for there. Hell, you could even go with attack if you feel like it. What I'm trying to say here, nerds, is maybe you should go with a typical dragon build, as he's going to be able to excel at that. Just give him something like Lightning Breath, as you're seeing here. In his A skill slots, there can be all sorts of things. Steady stance, steady breath, keep his distant defense, you don't need to change too much. And then there's all sorts of other options with the B skill slot passive. You could change that to guard if you feel it's necessary. And we're not even touching his C skill slots either, because he does have the res to run a ploy, which is actually quite useful. He also has the health to run Panic Ploy at least reasonably well. So you don't have to invest too much into, well, a lot of him. But if you do decide to, I think he can really shine just as much as any of the other dragon units that are currently in the game. It's just really up to you if you want to take the time and invest. Alright, so now that we've done all this, let's finish this up, let's go to the final rating, and let's just wrap up what's all going on with King Garon.
You can't possibly win.
Aw, look at his little dragon form. Hey, wait a second, isn't that Birthright's final boss? Isn't this supposed to be Conquest? God damn it. As a unit, I say Garon's probably about a 4 out of 5. He's not crazy overpowered, but he will be an established free-to-play unit that I think a lot of people will be using. And if you don't feel like having a creepy king, good news, you can fodder him off for some premium abilities. And while Distant Defense and Panic Ploy are useful, they still are quite niche in some roles, so it's really up to you if you want to use them. That's why I'm giving him a fodder ability rating of about 3. With all of this said, I am posing the question to you. Are you going to be using Garon, or are you going to instead fodder him off to someone else? It's really an option to you guys. That's basically the end of this video, nerds. I hope it was quick enough to be precise, and I'm still trying to fine-tune everything. However, it's been a lot of fun to try and edit, so thanks for watching. If you haven't already, leave a like. It really helps out. I love you guys very much. Thanks again. Bye, nerds.